love it when people doubt me. It makes me work harder to prove them wrong. Derek Jeter.
I have missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I have lost almost 300 games. 26 times I have trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I failed over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. Michael Jordan.
Nobody cares. Work harder. Anonymous.
Good morning. My name is Jill Parsons, and I am a sixth form boarder from Milford, Connecticut. I would like to welcome our visiting students and their families to our chapel. We meet as a community twice a week, every Tuesday and Friday, to listen to our peers, teachers, and occasionally invited guests speak about something meaningful to them. The students you saw standing by the pews today are members of the John Hay Society, a student group that assists with chapel services. So a warm welcome to our visitors. Now, I'm sure a lot of you think you know me, but there's always more to the story. A lot of you are also visitors, so you definitely don't know me. You don't know me because I'm in the library or in my dorm room doing homework. You don't know me because I'm in the gym working to get stronger. You might think school comes easily to me. You might think I'm naturally athletic. You're wrong. What I am, what I do best, is work hard. To introduce myself, I am a hockey player. Lots of you do know this. Hockey is the game my dad first gave to my brother, and since I wanted to copy everything he did, I picked up a stick off my driveway, and I never looked back. I've always shared the love for this sport with my dad, logging hours in car rides to and from games. Hockey was more than just a game to us. Often my dad used it as a tool to make me a better person. I can vividly remember one time he yelled at me for scoring a goal because another player was open to score her first goal of the season. What my dad saw and what he wanted me to learn was a moment I could have been less selfish. I would not be the person I am today without him. As he helped me leap from level to level, we also talked about how I wanted to take this game that I had learned in our driveway with wooden sticks and a rubber ball onto the ice, wearing the college logo on the front of my jersey. Now to add to the story that you don't know about me, I was born with a heart condition, and I won't bore you with all of the details, but my aortic valve only functions at 80% capacity, and like my grades, I prefer it to be 100%. Essentially, I cannot lift more than half of my body weight, and this is a problem for someone who dreamed to play at the college level. When I was in 7th and 8th grade, I would go to camps, and the coaches, many of whom were Olympians, would stress how heavy lifting is an essential piece of how they made the jump to the collegiate level and beyond. But when you are as passionate about something as I am about hockey, you will find a way. So I developed a program with trainers that is geared toward working with lower weights that still maximizes my growth. I get strange looks in the gym from people lifting more than they can handle, wondering why I'm doing just the opposite. When I put the weight on my back, I lower myself twice as many times so I can achieve the same end result. Still, being average is never enough for me, so I do it again. The next summer, I went back to that camp with the Olympians, and I could do 12 pull-ups instead of 1. But beyond an athlete, I'm a student. That's pretty obvious. March 9th just passed, and I'm sure it was a very exciting time for all of you. But for me, 4 years ago, that date included crying, reevaluating my life decisions, followed by more crying. And for those of you who know me, I rarely cry. I was accepted into 1 out of the 7 schools that I applied to, and was waitlisted at the remaining 6. It was that bad. Now I'm sure that you're thinking you know what school I got into, but you'd be mistaken. So obviously I was shocked, and questions incessantly rang in my head. Am I not as smart as I thought I was? Or not good at hockey? Am I not enough? In my eyes, I was a failure, and my plans for high school, then college, then the real world, had suddenly been derailed. Clearly, I was dramatic at age 13. But after 3 days of panicking and overthinking, I got a call from Mr. DeVoe inviting me to join Westminster's class of 2019. I immediately jumped on the opportunity, beginning the process of setting myself straight again. So that fall, when I stepped on the hill, I felt as if I had to assure everyone this was the right move, even to myself. Just like back in the weight room at that hockey camp, I had to prove myself again. I needed to show Westminster that the chance they took on me was the right choice. I decided I was going to work twice as hard as everyone else. My parents and I knew what a privilege it would be for me to attend boarding school. How lucky all of us are here. So I wasn't going to give up the opportunity that Westminster had granted me. From my very first week as a third former, I made it a habit to stay up as late as it took to get my homework done, to be the first to practice and the last to leave, and to get to the gym after. It was hard. I was tired on some days. But by the end of that first trimester, my advisor, Mrs. Crosby, let me know that I was at the top of my class. Immediately, I was reminded of the self-doubt I had experienced that previous March. But I realized if I worked hard, just as my dad had taught me to do in my hockey practices, I could get to where I wanted to be. I didn't just suddenly get smarter, although of course I wish it worked like that. My naturally competitive spirit had pushed me to where I wanted to go. Now you're probably wondering why I would be talking about getting waitlisted when clearly all of you here got accepted. Fair point. But obviously the admissions team has made much better decisions. But in all honesty, as I look into the crowd, I'm surrounded by people who are so good at so many things. Una would probably wipe the floor with me in a math competition. Meg Rittenhouse would beat me in a race on the ice. I mean, come on, the girl had 4 goals in 1 game. And in the time I can read 1 page of our English book, Emma Tanner can most likely read 10 while running a 5-minute mile. But here at Westminster, somehow, I've thrived. I'm pushed by these very people, and my competitive spirit drives me to challenge them. I hope I can inspire others around me to work as hard as I do, in my classes, on the ice, and on the lacrosse field. My entire character depends on hard work. It's how I keep up. I won't dazzle anyone with my natural abilities, and I still check simple addition and subtraction on my calculator during math tests. But I will stay up late perfecting my homework or getting ahead during my free blocks because of that promise that I made to myself when I first got here. My dad always reminds me that things happen for a reason. And while it really pains me to admit it, he was right. I can't imagine not procrastinating over U.S. history in the dining hall with Willie Carroll, or grinding through Monday afternoon hockey practices with all of my teammates. I would never trade in the late night feeds with Mr. Rashid in the common room, sharing soup, which is really just undercooked brownies, but always a crowd favorite, or the time I allegedly hit a banana in Susie Redhand's bed. Sometimes I think about how things would have been different if I stayed in my old school or steered another course, and I can't picture myself doing any better than I have here. Of course, I could wish I was born with a perfectly healthy heart, or that I didn't have to study for hours for a test, but then I would be wishing away my work ethic and all of the strengths that I have developed in learning to overcome the obstacles I'm faced with. I cannot control what happens to me, but I can control how I respond. This past fall, I applied to college, and despite being a recruited athlete with all of my test scores and grades well within the school's standards, I was nervous all over again. But this time was different. In December, I was accepted to my first choice college. For me, all of those hours driving back and forth to hockey practices with my dad, all of his encouraging words, all of our conversations about goals, and the dream we had that someday I might be able to play college hockey had become a reality. For me, it was not enough to just recognize all of the opportunities, the support, and the growth that Westminster had to offer. I wanted to squeeze out all that I could before I move on to college. So I'm sure as I begin all over again as a freshman next year, there will be plenty more setbacks, countless more obstacles, more hard work, plenty of late nights, and many long bus rides. But now that I'm a seasoned vet, I know not to let the doubt creep in and to appreciate how far I've come. When I arrived here, I wasn't the best athlete, or the smartest in my class, or the most outgoing person. What I chose is to come in and give it all that I had. My name is Jill Parsons, and I'm a sixth form boarder from Milford, Connecticut. I have a congenital heart condition. I'm passionate about hockey. I take pride in my schoolwork. Oh, and I work hard. Thank you for getting to know me.